Ladies and gentlemen, there is a road not many choose to walk. It is not paved with applause, nor is it crowded with admirers. It is a lonely road, a rugged path, but it is the road of the strong woman. And let me tell you today, she does not walk it alone out of pride nor out of arrogance, but out of purpose. Faith over fear is not just a phrase, it is a way of life, a mindset, a commitment to walking in trust rather than trembling in doubt. Fear is a natural part of the human experience, but for a strong woman, faith is her foundation, her anchor, and her guide. She understands that fear may knock on the door of her heart, but it is faith that answers. From the moment we step into this world, fear tries to grip us. It whispers in our ears, telling us we are not enough, that we cannot make it, that we are too weak, too broken, too alone. But a strong woman knows that she is not defined by the whispers of fear. She is defined by the promises of faith. She does not allow fear to dictate her actions because she has something greater than fear. She has faith in a God who never fails. When a strong woman faces a challenge, she does not back down. She does not let fear paralyze her because she understands that fear is just an illusion, a shadow with no substance. She knows that every time she chooses faith over fear, she grows stronger. She steps forward even when she does not see the whole path. She walks into the unknown, not because she has all the answers, but because she knows the one who does. History has shown us time and time again that the women who made the greatest impact were those who chose faith over fear. Think of Esther. When the weight of her people's survival rested on her shoulders, she could have hidden in fear. She could have stayed silent, afraid of the consequences. But instead, she chose faith. She stepped forward, risking everything, believing that she was placed in that moment for a reason. And because of her faith, an entire nation was saved. Think of the woman who reached out to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. She had every reason to be afraid. Afraid of rejection, afraid of judgment, afraid that she would not be healed. But she did not let fear keep her from taking that step. She reached out in faith, believing in something greater than her circumstances. And in that moment, her faith made her whole. A strong woman understands that fear will always try to hold her back, but faith will always push her forward. She knows that every great breakthrough comes after a moment of courage. And courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite. She does not let fear steal her dreams, her purpose, or her calling. Instead, she stands firm in faith, trusting that no matter how uncertain the road ahead may be, she is never alone. When the world tells her she is not capable, faith tells her she is more than enough. When fear tries to silence her, faith gives her a voice. When the storm rages around her, faith reminds her that she is anchored in something unshakable. And so she walks forward, not in fear, but in faith. Conviction is the force that drives a strong woman forward, the fire that burns within her soul, and the unshakable belief that keeps her standing when the world tries to push her down. It is easy to follow the crowd, to blend in, to do what everyone else is doing. But a strong woman knows that conformity is the enemy of purpose. She understands that if she lives by the expectations of others, she will never fulfill the calling placed upon her life. The world is full of voices telling women who they should be, what they should do, and how they should live. Society has built boxes, labels, and limitations, trying to confine women to certain roles and expectations. But a strong woman refuses to be defined by anything other than the truth. She does not allow culture, trends, or opinions to shape her identity. She stands firm in her convictions, even when they make her stand alone. Conviction is not about stubbornness. It is about knowing what is right and refusing to waver. It is about having a moral compass so strong that no amount of pressure, criticism, or opposition can make her stray from it. She does not compromise her values for temporary approval. She does not water down her beliefs to fit in. She does not trade authenticity for acceptance. Throughout history, the women who have made a difference were not those who conformed, but those who had the courage to stand firm in their convictions. Think of Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat knowing that her act of defiance could change the course of history. She could have conformed, She could have gone along with what was expected, but she stood her ground. She chose conviction over conformity, and that choice ignited a movement. Think of the biblical story of Deborah, a judge and a leader in a time when women were not expected to hold such positions. She did not wait for permission to step into her calling. She led with authority, guided by conviction, not by the approval of society. She knew who she was and she knew her purpose, and she refused to let the world's expectations limit her impact. A strong woman understands that the path of conviction is not always easy. It will cost her friendships, opportunities, and even comfort. There will be moments of doubt when she wonders if it would be easier to just go along with the crowd. But she also knows that true strength is found in standing firm, not in blending in. When people mock her, she does not back down. When they tell her she is too bold, too different, too much, she does not shrink herself to make others comfortable. She understands that she was not called to fit in, she was called to stand out. She walks with unwavering confidence, knowing that her convictions are not just opinions, but deeply rooted truths that guide her every step. She does not seek validation from the world because she knows that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with her purpose. She is not afraid to go against the grain, to take the harder road, to be the lone voice of truth in a sea of compromise, because for her, conformity is not an option. Her conviction is far too strong. A strong woman does not live for applause. She does not measure her worth by how many people approve of her, nor does she seek validation from the world. Instead, she is driven by something far greater than popularity. She is driven by purpose. She understands that the path to fulfilling her calling is rarely the most popular one, and she is willing to walk it, even if it means walking alone. Popularity is fleeting. One moment the world praises you, and the next it turns its back. A woman who chases popularity will find herself constantly shifting, changing, and compromising just to stay in the good graces of others. But a woman who is grounded in her purpose does not waver. She does not allow the shifting tides of opinion to dictate her direction. She knows that true fulfillment comes not from being liked, but from living out the mission she was created for. There is a great temptation to choose what is easy over what is right. The world offers shortcuts, approval, and instant gratification. But a woman with purpose understands that real success is not about pleasing people. It is about fulfilling the destiny placed within her. She is not afraid to disappoint the crowd if it means staying true to her calling. She does not bend to the pressures of society because she knows that the weight of purpose is far greater than the weight of opinion. Think of the women in history who changed the world. They were not always celebrated in their time. Many were ridiculed, rejected, and even persecuted. Yet they pressed on because they knew their purpose was more important than their popularity. Mother Teresa did not serve the poorest of the poor to gain recognition. She did it because she was called to love and serve. Harriet Tubman did not risk her life freeing slaves because it was the popular thing to do. She did it because she knew she had a purpose far greater than herself. Even in the Bible, we see women who chose purpose over popularity. Mary, the mother of Jesus, accepted her calling knowing it would bring shame, gossip, and misunderstanding. She could have chosen an easier road, one where she remained unnoticed. But she chose to walk in faith, embracing a purpose that would change the course of history. A strong woman understands that purpose is often a lonely road. There will be moments when she is misunderstood, criticized, and even rejected. People may not see the vision she carries, and they may question her choices. But she presses forward, not because it is easy, but because she knows she was created for more than just being liked. She was created to make an impact. She does not waste time chasing the approval of people who do not understand her mission. She does not dilute her passion to fit into a mold that was never meant for her. Instead, she boldly walks in her calling, knowing that her life is not about popularity. It is about making a difference that will last far beyond her years. A strong woman understands that life will not always be easy. She knows that trials will come, setbacks will happen, and storms will rage. But she also knows that her strength does not come from relying on others to save her. It comes from within. She embodies resilience, standing firm even when the world expects her to fall. She does not wait for someone else to lift her up. She rises on her own, fueled by faith, determination, and an unshakable spirit. It is tempting to rely on the approval, support, or resources of others. She understands that if she leans too heavily on people, she will be left vulnerable when they are no longer there. Instead, she builds herself up, strengthening her mind, her heart, and her spirit, so that no matter what happens, she can keep moving forward. Resilience is not just about surviving, it is about thriving despite the obstacles. A strong woman does not let failure define her. When she falls, she does not stay down. She gets back up, learning from every mistake, growing stronger with every setback. She does not waste time blaming circumstances or waiting for someone to rescue her. She takes responsibility for her own life, knowing that she has the power to shape her future. History is filled with women who refused to rely on others for their success. They did not wait for permission to step into their calling. They fought, they endured, and they overcame. Sojourner Truth, an abolitionist and women's rights activist, was born into slavery, but she refused to let her past define her future. She did not rely on others to give her freedom. She took it for herself and used her voice to fight for justice. Even in the Bible, we see examples of women who demonstrated resilience over reliance. The woman with the issue of blood suffered for 12 years, seeking help from doctors and spending everything she had, yet finding no relief. But she did not give up. Instead of waiting for someone else to save her, she took action. She pushed through the crowd, reached for the hem of Jesus' garment, and found healing. Her resilience led to her breakthrough. A strong woman knows that relying on people can lead to disappointment, but relying on her inner strength, her faith, and her purpose will never fail her. She understands that relationships are valuable and support from others is a blessing, but she does not depend on them for her success or happiness. She does not wait for someone else to open doors for her. She knocks on them herself. And when they do not open, she builds her own path. She does not crumble under pressure. She does not quit when things get hard. She does not allow the weight of the world to break her. Instead, she stands tall, knowing that every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Her strength is not in how much she can lean on others, but in how much she can endure, overcome, and keep moving forward. A strong woman does not allow limitations to define her. She does not accept the barriers placed before her as permanent. Instead, she rises above them, determined to leave a legacy that outlives her. She understands that life is not just about what she accomplishes for herself, it is about what she leaves behind for those who come after her. While others may focus on their immediate struggles, she keeps her eyes on the bigger picture, knowing that her purpose extends beyond her own lifetime. Limitations come in many forms. Some are placed on women by society, telling them what they can and cannot do. Some are rooted in personal struggles, self-doubt, past failures, or difficult circumstances. Others are imposed by people who cannot see beyond their own fears and limitations. But a strong woman refuses to be confined by any of these things. She does not let obstacles define her destiny. Instead, she breaks through them, carving a path for others to follow. She understands that every hardship, every challenge, and every setback is an opportunity to create something greater than herself. She does not waste time complaining about what she lacks or the barriers in her way. Instead, she uses them as fuel to push forward. She knows that her struggles are not just for her. They are shaping a story that will inspire others long after she is gone. History is full of women who refused to be limited by their circumstances and instead chose to leave a legacy. Take Helen Keller, for example, a woman who was both blind and deaf, yet she refused to let her disabilities define her. She became an author, activist, and advocate, changing the way the world viewed people with disabilities. Her legacy lives on because she refused to let limitations stop her. Think of Malala Yousafzai, a young girl who was told she could not receive an education simply because of her gender. She could have accepted that as her fate, but she chose to fight for what was right. She risked everything, and because of her courage, millions of young girls now have a voice in the fight for education. She did not let fear or opposition silence her. Instead, she built a legacy that continues to empower generations. Even in the Bible, we see women who chose legacy over limitations. Ruth was a widow, an outsider, and a woman in a culture that offered her little opportunity. But she did not allow those limitations to define her. She walked in faith. And through her lineage came King David and ultimately Jesus Christ. Her story proves that a woman who refuses to be limited can change the course of history. A strong woman knows that what she does today matters for the future. She does not settle for a life of comfort or ease. She strives for a life of impact. She works not just for herself, but for her children, her community, and the generations that will follow. She refuses to be remembered for the things that held her back. She chooses to be remembered for the way she rose above them. Oh,